Hello. um, I recently watched a debate between Professor Anton and Amendum, and it was the hour and a half long video. It was it was a good debate. It was interesting. Um, it was a little long, an hour and a half, but I thought I would just make a response video when I thought about it. Um, you know, um, with the debt crisis and all these different things that have been going on in our country, um, I think we have to, when we're thinking about subjects like especially philosophical subjects or even religious or political subjects, I think we have to kind of be skeptical of a few things. Because recently I read a book by Michael Shermer. He was the founder of Skeptic magazine. Uh, he's a well-known atheist. He seems kind of like a reductionist, but his new book, The Believing Brain, it's a really good book, and it's kind of about how we form beliefs, and then we find reasons to back up our beliefs first. We form beliefs based on, for whatever reasons, like maybe our upbringing or our peer group or our own culture or language influences us. Whatever reasons um, we form beliefs first, and then we find reasons to believe things. He called it mind dependent realism in the book, and I think he has a really good point. He he says that um, our biases, our cognitive biases, weigh so heavily on us that it's hard for us to get at an objective truth. And I noticed in the debate between Professor Anton and Amendum talked a lot about objectivity, and yeah, I mean, I think there is a truth, there is a truth out there, but I think we have to be really skeptical about claims of objectivity and truth. Just because our ability to get at that truth, I think, is so heavily influenced by our own biases, our own psychological biases, and our own culture, our own language. Many factors influence why we believe what we believe, but our epistemic ability to get at that truth, I think, is very limited at times. If we go back in the history of philosophy and we look at Husserl and Heidegger, Husserl, was a phenomenologist, and he believes in sort of the eidetic reduction where we can get at this presuppositionless truth. But what made Heidegger, or at least partially what made Heidegger such a radical and great thinker, was the fact that he said, no, he did a hermeneutic phenomenology where we can't get at this presuppositionless truth. We're so influenced by our culture, our upbringing, just our language, just many factors. So to get at this sort of eidetic reduction, where we get at this presuppositionless truth, wasn't possible for Heidegger, as far as I understand in Heidegger. I mean, so I think we have to be really skeptical of claims of objectivity, and I think I think Amendum kind of has fallen into this trap a little. I mean, he does have a very good point, though. I mean, suffering is a part of life. It's real. I mean, there's terrible things that happen in the world all the time, and in the past they've happened. The genocide in Rwanda, the Holocaust, um, uh, drive-by shootings, slavery. I don't know. There's so many terrible things that have happened in the world. It's hard to name them all. So suffering is real. It's a part of life. The shadow side to human nature is real. It's a part of it. It's part of our, I guess, ontological reality. But there's also a good side to human nature. So to kind of deny that the good exists, or to not value it, or just kind of dismiss it, I don't think is right, because there's sort of a constructive side to human nature also, not just a destructive side. So I think, yeah, we have to kind of acknowledge both sides, and to ignore the constructive side, I think, is not philosophically accurate. Um, but yeah, I think the other thing I wanted to say is I just noticed, I mean, Amendum is a smart guy and he has some good points to make, but sometimes his belligerent discourse style is kind of a major turnoff for me. I don't personally find belittling people and calling them names and things like that very attractive. I mean, I guess there's an audience for it though, because a lot of people like that. I mean, YouTube is kind of similar to kind of the cable news kind of format where it's, Bill O'Reilly's really popular because he kind of shouts at people and kind of ridicules people and kind of makes fun of them when they disagree with him. And I think there's an audience for that. And I think, Amendum tends to kind of play to that audience, which is fine. I mean, people can like that style if they want to. I just don't find it very attractive, kind of the belligerent discourse style. But a lot of people do apparently, because he has a big audience. So I find it kind of depressing, and that people actually are attracted to that. But I mean, I don't know. I guess that's what people like. So, oh, I mean, I don't know. Just if we go back in the history of philosophy again, like when Camus and Sartre had their big falling out, um, I don't know if like Sartre started calling Camus names and he called him like a pussy or something like that. I mean, I think they tried to keep it at least somewhat civil and mature. But I don't know, YouTube tends to not be like that. I think, well, American society in general tends to not be like that. I wish we could kind of up the discourse level in America, but it doesn't seem like people want to, or it seems like people are attracted to kind of a belligerent discourse. But anyways, I'm kind of rambling now. Sorry, but what was I gonna say? Oh, the last point I wanted to make was suffering and objectivity. I think it's um it's very hard to sort of be quantitative about suffering and pleasure. Be quantitative about suffering and pleasure because there's a real qualitative aspect to it. I mean, I could be walking down the street and I could trip and somebody could help me up or something, and they could show me an act of compassion or kindness. And it's like, I don't know, it's just hard to measure because there's this constant ebb and flow and there's this sliding scale. So, to quantitatively be able to measure how much suffering there is in the world, I think is quite difficult. Um, it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't, I don't think it works like that almost. I think there's a huge qualitative aspect to it. And I think to quantitatively measure suffering is not really possible almost. But anyways, sorry, I'm kind of rambling in this video. But I just thought I would add my 2 cents in to the debate and also just the discourse in America in general. Because if we look at something like the debt crisis, it's there's just kind of this belligerent discourse in America also that I don't find very attractive, and name calling and all these things I don't find very attractive. But I guess a lot of people do. Anyways, it was an interesting debate between Professor Anton and Amendum. It was a little long, but it was a really good debate. It was nice to see, I guess, some bipartisanship. I wish Congress could do that a little more. But anyways, all right. Thank you. Bye.